Hello, Aries, and welcome to April 2021 and our discussion for the second part of Aries season here in April. Yes, happy birthday to all you Aries out there. I hope it is a beautiful time of renewal for you, and I hope that it is very supportive of you and a really warm, lovely time. There was like a question that came up when I sat with your energy and felt through what wanted to come through. And the question was, what do you really mean? And I guess you could apply that in a few different ways. That just intuitively came to me really, really loudly. What do you really mean? Ooh, that gives me shivers in a good way. Even when I think about that, I think about authenticity, right? And the vulnerability of authenticity and how much of a strong theme that is in 2021 in general, and how much of a strong theme that is here in Aries season for you Aries. Because we have all sorts of different masks and faces we wear, right? We have all sorts of different personas we put on, and that's really fun. It's fun to like play with who are we? What is this life, right? But we often have our own little personality that's out front, right? Our representative, as Glennon Doyle puts it, the representative that is out there. That kind of is like our shield for the world, which, in some ways is a very useful thing because the world can be a really harsh place. However, sometimes that representative isn't who we really are. It says yes to things because we want to look good to coworkers, or we want to force ourselves to be, adventurous in a specific way. We want to impress somebody, and we say no to things because we're scared that when we say yes, that we're going to show our interest, we're going to show our excitement, we're going to show our true selves. And when I thought about this Aries season, this is a season for all of us, but especially for you, of rebirth, renewal, getting in touch with who you are this solar year, in this moment. This is a very forward motion Aries season. All the planets are going to be direct during your season this year. And it's a really important time to ask, what is your representative and what is your true you, and this is not about, unleashing your true you and to yell at a whole bunch of people, or, tell people. Two of Wands wanted to come out already. Tell people off, or, clear the cobwebs, maybe a little bit, but this is more about what you really mean in life, who are you really is going to be a question that's coming up. We have Mercury, the Sun, and Venus all hanging out in your sign for the first half of the month, and we have a new moon in your sign as well. So this card just fell. Hello. Oh, the Lovers. Hello. I love that. Two of Wands and the Lovers. This is starting off very well, my Aries friends. I will take it. Where was I going with all of this? Yes, Sun, Venus, Mercury, a new moon in your sign, a moon of rebirth, regeneration, checking in with yourself, listening to your soul. Listening to your soul, not your representative, give you information and guidance. The Tower. Yes. The Tower in many ways is about deposing the representative. It's not representing who you truly are anymore. So there is a transformational energy going on here. Now, when we get to the second part of the month, when we start heading into Taurus season, Sun, Venus, and Mercury are all going to move over there by the 19th. We're going to start talking about self-worth, value, where you're feeling that self-love, where you're feeling that self-value, where you're feeling that investment, and Three of Swords. Okay, never fear, Aries, I have to say that your readings tend to be theatrical, wouldn't you say? We often have conversations that are very theatrical and expressive, and that is just the way of the fire, isn't it? So the second part of the month is going to be about where you're feeling self-worth, self-value in yourself, and also, you know, where you're feeling stability when it comes to the things around you, you know, the items around you, the things you're investing in, the energy you're investing. So this is a really powerful time. We also have a Scorpio full moon on the 26th, which is a transformational full moon for you. It helps you to shift your perception, it helps you to shed skin, it helps you to release around any concepts or identities that aren't serving you anymore over the last year, really. So let's talk about these cards though, because I'll admit this is like quite the odyssey. It's like we start off in these really fun, playful, curious waters, and we end with these really powerful cards that have to do with release and healing from hurt. So let's talk about it. Two of Wands. Okay, so this is a card of expansion, and I often say this is like an initiation card because it's like standing at that doorway, right? When you know that like what you truly want and what you're truly dreaming of and what you're truly envisioning is big. It's big, you know, it might involve shifting some pretty huge pieces around and exploring new parts of yourself. But it's also a really, really fun place to be. It's very dreamy and it's very receptive. You know, I talk about this as kind of being the boomerang. You've sent the boomerang out into the world of your wishes, of your desires, of your dreams. And now standing here, that boomerang is coming back to you. And you can feel kind of like anticipate that return. You can anticipate those doors opening and anticipate that movement and anticipate that growth and that change and that excitement and that adventure. And this is the doorway through which that happens. And things are starting to move. You know, you'll be noticing that. You know, and the Two of Wands is super supportive of that movement, of that growth, of that change. And this is stuff that comes from your soul, right? Not the representative. It's not the version of yourself that says that you want these things, you know, you want to run a business in this way or be this type of person or have this type of schedule because you've always been told that's what will be good for you, right? Or it's become comfortable or it's become something that you know how to do and it's scary to let it go, right? This is about something that's calling from your soul. You also have the Lovers, and yes, this is a card of connection. This is a card of communion. This is a card of love, of romance, of communication. Now, of course, this can also apply to just connecting with people non-romantically as well. People who you can really like, who get you, who understand you, who support you. This can be about really connecting with like-minded souls or people that can really help you envision that, right? The thing with the Lovers is, you know, speaking of vulnerability, the only way that Lovers works, truly works, is if we bring our true selves to the conversation, to the table, right? And we converse in those waters. Otherwise, if we're just bringing the representative, we never really get to the depth of the level of what Lovers energy represents, which is true connection based on openness and nothing being hidden, right? And so these are vulnerable cards because they show, for me, this is when, you know, your true desires, your true hopes and dreams are on display. I remember, you know, this is just a good example before we move on to the next two cards, that back in the day, you know, years ago, when I would date people, I've never have the courage to tell them, like, you know, for me, what I really want is this level of commitment. You know, I'm somebody who enjoys, you know, a really committed, loving partner. And it was so scary for me to ever tell somebody that that's my standard and that's what I want. And when I think about the Lovers and the Two of Wands, I think about how important, you know, how scary it is to let your true desires be seen. But how rewarding it is to really let yourself show up there. So these are those cards of like your truest self being just shining from within you. It's almost like you can't keep it bottled up. You can't keep it small. You can't shrink it down and shove it back into the little container that maybe it was in this last season of life. Now let's get into these cards. I know you all are worried over there, you know, and I'm sure there's some of you out there who are super skeptical. Like, what is Sarah going to say? She's going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. What I will say is this. The Tower comes in when something is not working, when something is actually detrimental, when we are imprisoned in something that's not working, and when there's a power dynamic that is hurting and damaging, right? And yes, you know, on a cultural level, when you see the Tower, that has to do with, you know, shifting power dynamics in our culture. When it comes to a personal reading, when it comes to our personal development, when the Tower shows up, a lot of people associate it with like the rug getting pulled out from under you, or a storm coming in and shuffling the deck, and that can happen. That can be one modality. But I often find the Tower is more about internal dynamics, internal family systems, you know, is kind of the psychological version of this. But it's where there's the representative, the monarch, the despot inside of you who's running the scenes, running the show, and keeping you trapped. And with that feeling of trappedness, you know, your authentic self can't really move, right? So the Tower comes in as a shifter of those power dynamics, as a way to release and reset. So the Tower is a perspective shift. And yeah, you know, sometimes this can be a time of grief, right? Because we have to grieve like our old shape, our old containers, who we've been, right? But it's also a liberator. It also makes us free to explore who we are becoming, to not just sit in this container, in this case the Tower, you know, and wait for things to get better, right? And so I often find, you know, when we are growing and we are starting new opportunities, well, that is a very creative part of it, right? Like, it's a very exciting, great time of life that we all kind of crave, like that sense of like a new adventure, a new relationship, a new work venture, a new project. It's so exciting. Within the creative is also the destructive, right? Like, as we create and as we express ourselves and move forward in life, something else is burning away behind us, right? And that's what Tower really represents. Now, here's the other thing that's going on. We do have a Three of Swords. Three of Swords indicates, for me, whenever I see this, it's like when we put ourselves in painful situations over and over and over again. It doesn't always have to be with love. It doesn't have to be about people betraying you and lying to you and going behind your back. It's about when we know that every time we hang out with this person, we feel depleted, exhausted, crappy, self-loathing, whatever, and we keep doing it. When we know that we are in an environment where it hurts to be in, but we keep making ourselves show up to it time and again, and we put ourselves in these places that are so painful to live in, and that is what Three of Swords is about. So when I see Tower and Three of Swords, rather than think about this as something external that's going to come in April and like destroy you and make your April terrible and hellish and nightmarish, because that's not what I'm saying here at all. Think about this as like, notice with the Tower and the Three of Swords, this is a call for you to notice where when your representative is in charge, your representative is going to, you know, say yes to situations, to dynamics that don't feel good to your soul. And your job is going to be to notice when that representative is doing that and to consider how you want to adjust that. So that's what I'm going to say about that. And I honestly, these are internal dynamics that I think go on all the time. And I think when we get the call from our soul, right, which is what I see here with these two, it means that we have to listen to their soul calling us away from what is hurting and what is no longer serving. And it's a difference between, you know, like, we have things in life that, like, grief and feeling are an important part of life, but there are certain things we just do in life, dynamics that we put ourselves in that are just painful, you know, and that those can look like anything from very small things to large things. So depending on who you are, that scale is going to look very different. Big call, though. Big call to action for Aries, to listen to your soul and get really authentic. So, big assignment, huh? So I'm pulling a final card from my Animal Totem Tarot. It's a beautiful deck, and I do use it from time to time throughout the year, as many of you probably know. Six of Wands. That is gorgeous. It is the bee. You know, Six of Wands is about triumph, and Six of Wands is about you know, persevering and moving forward, moving on, out of the wood, out of the battle, out of the darkness, into the light. And this is what the message for the bee says in this book. Never underestimate the part you play in the world around you. Even the smallest of actions can cause the largest of ripples. No matter how big or small your part, make sure you play it to the best of your ability. Sure, it's easy to be good when everyone around you is good, but it takes a higher level of success to do your best when those around you are not able to pull their weight. Yeah. When I think about, you all being really authentic with where you put your energy, what you're saying yes to, what you're investing your energy into in this new solar year as we move through Aries season, I think about, choosing the dynamics you want to be in. Choosing where you want to take that Aries fire and put it, and being really impeccable with where you use that Aries fire. I think Aries, you can spread yourself thin sometimes. You want to light up the world. And that's a great sentiment, but it's important you're intentional with your fire, right? It's important that where you put your fire, it can burn bright and hot and do its magic, and that a lot of aspects don't need the fire at this time. Don't need you to be the one responsible for all of that. So this is about true authenticity with how you use your energy this month. And there's going to be clarity there, I think. I'm really excited. I love this energy because for me, this is all about choosing things that feel really soulfully good to us and walking away from things that are just not working. And I want to say this too, sometimes we think there has to be like a villain or a bad guy or these obvious like cons to something to say that it's time to just kind of like take a step back from it. But a lot of times things that are hurtful or painful or no longer working for us when we change shape are just things that just no longer jive with us. It doesn't necessarily always have to be about catastrophe or anger or drama. It doesn't always have to be. A lot of times I think the Tower and the Three of Swords, just things that once could have been amazing and really supportive of you, just suddenly don't feel so good to your soul anymore. So just keep listening to yourself. It's going to be amazing. I love this reading so much, actually. And we will be doing some deep diving over on my Patreon if you're looking for some cozy support and a great community. I would love to see you over there. I'll leave the link for that in the description box. You can also find me on my Instagram and my website, and you can also find PinkLune's gorgeous jewelry on her Etsy shop. So I will leave all of those links below. I'm sending you all my love, and I will talk to you very soon for more Taurus season ahead.